What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Jeremiah Wonders. Sam Morril is the guest today. Leave a like and a comment below to get this thing started, and I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who has been listening to my album, or maybe you purchased the special or rented the special on Amazon Prime or Apple TV or Video on Demand, Roku, all the platforms that are out right now. I really appreciate the 5-star ratings and reviews on Amazon Prime. All that stuff helps. And I want to wish you guys a happy holidays and thank you so much for your support. And I actually have a couple live road dates that I want to tell you about. December 30th, Royersford, Pennsylvania at Soul Joel's. And then January 7th, I'll be in Austin, Texas. January 8th and 9th in Fort Worth, Texas. Hope to see you guys there live. Stay safe out there. And without further ado, please welcome Sam Morril to Jeremiah Wonders.
My side of things, if you want to do the same side for you. Love it. we just showed how athletic we both are by by how we just clapped. We're just like, okay.
Oh, dude, I'm literally coming from physical therapy from like nothing. So I've made peace with the fact that my whatever I thought were glory years are far behind me.
What's causing you pain right now?
I have neck pain.
Okay. Yeah, see, we have that tall guy thing where something's wrong. Either it's the back or the neck. Mine is always my lower back. I'm always like, I'm always asking my wife, like, can you like give me a little something?
Oh, I would like get mad at short people. I would like, I have back and neck problems, and they'd be like talking to me, and I'd be like, oh fuck, I gotta look at you. This is annoying. This is making it worse. All right. Yeah, no, it was an issue. It's been an issue for years.
Yeah, you have to start changing your friend group and everything to people more your eye line. You're like, all right, I can do this now.
Yeah, dude. I remember. I saw you at this thing. It was roast battle with Jeselnik and Jeff Ross and Nikki were the judges, and I was on like painkillers and muscle relaxers because my back was just done.
Wow.
I was a little fucked up on that.
How long have you had neck or back pain for?
I think part of it's that I've never built muscles in my back. I don't think that's helped me. I saw a physical therapist. She's like a very small Indian woman, and she was like, you don't have muscles in your back. It's very emasculating for a tiny woman to be like, you're not a strong man.
Yeah. And also your
great.
Dick doesn't work either. You're like, I'm not even there for that. What are you talking about?
Also, your dad walked out, and here's a picture from prom night. What happened there? She just keeps going.
Have you been haunting my house? Like, how do you know all this stuff about me? Yeah, dude. I've been trying to stretch and stuff. If you have neck and back problems, you ever stretch in the shower whenever you
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, that's like my go-to. That's like where I feel the most athletic is like when I'm stretching. I'm like, yeah, I got a game or something today.
Yeah,
sure.
whenever I take it's weird, like they always say take an Epsom salt bath, but whenever I take a bath, I think of Nick Griffin. My buddy Nick Griffin has a great joke where he talked about someone taking a bath and he goes, what are you, a prospector in the 1800s? I always think of that joke and I'm like, yeah, what am? Who do I think I am? So I'm not a big bath guy.
Yeah, I rarely, when I go on the road sometimes, I will treat myself to a bath. And I feel
a road bath is different. It's acceptable.
That's like, you're in this new setting. You're like, I'm never going to do this. I can't do this at home, so yeah. I will go crazy. I'll squirt as much free soap as I can and make as many bubbles and just be like a fake luxurious prince for a little while.
I've never gotten that far, but I do the I've done an occasional road bath. Just like if your back's fucked up or you're stressed, you're like, I'll get a cocktail going. I do like a cocktail in the bath. That feels like whenever I'm in the bath though, it's like. I remember, like, all I think about is, like, Dalton Trumbo. Ever see that movie Trumbo where Bryan Cranston plays a screenwriter and he's just always writing in the bath? And I'm just like, yeah, I'm just laying here, maybe watching The Sopranos on, like, a laptop that's hoisted over a toilet somewhere. That's the extent of my work in the bath.
Yeah, I had a LaCroix once in a bubble bath, and I was like, I think this is the whitest moment of my life. I just was sipping on a LaCroix in a bubble bath, like, on the road in between stand-up gigs, and I was like, yeah, this is a little bit too much. I can't do this
You're
again.
Like, fuck, I got to turn off the Dido. This is bad, This is...
There will be no white flag above my door.
That was pretty
Dude.
good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
That
very
wasn't
much.
bad.
Dude, Dido and Eminem, I mean, come on, bro.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was good.
Are you an Eminem guy? You like Eminem?
I do like Eminem, absolutely. Yeah, I although I feel guilty, because Mateo Lane is a friend of mine, and he was telling me,
I love Mateo.
Mateo was like, dude, Eminem ruined my childhood. Like the homophobia that people felt comfortable throwing at me because of Eminem.
I didn't even think about that.
I'm like, yeah, dude, I hear. I mean, so he says that to me, and I'm like, fuck. I definitely was a little liberal with my language. I definitely let it fly because I didn't. When you're a kid, you don't realize how bad that shit is and how you're like. Because now I'm like, oh fuck, I'd be like part of the problem. So I'm glad I have friends like that to hear their side.
I think maybe that's why later on in his career that was a big deal when he did that performance with Elton John.
Elton, yeah.
I think that was his being like, I'm sorry.
I think it's also.
bad.
It's like he's also a dude where I'm like. I don't think he was like, I hate gay people. I think it was like a street thing where he was like, but it still probably hurt his life. I'm not saying like, so I'm like, his feelings are valid. Mateo's feelings are valid, I think is my point. Even if like you don't mean it, you could be like, oh, this is fucking up someone's shit. Cause like he's calling people gay who like weren't gay. He's like, Justin Timberlake's gay. And I'm just like, well, he's not. You just, you're just calling him names and shit.
Yeah. Timberlake, he's banging like a ton of chicks.
Yeah. Yeah, if you think Timberlake's gay, you don't know what gay is. Jessica Biel is a hot woman.
Yeah. I heard that. I hate when do you ever click on clickbait of like celebrity stuff online? Like, do you fall into that trap ever where you click on something where you're like, how did I
rarely click on it. I do look for headlines sometimes just because I'm like looking to get my brain started. Like that's how I'll start to write jokes sometimes, is just looking at headlines to see what I can do with it. But yeah, I'm not a big entertainment news guy, I wouldn't say.
I wouldn't consider myself either, but for whatever reason, every once in a while, like one caught my eye recently. It said something like the real story of how Jessica Biel stole Justin Timberlake from Cameron Diaz. I was like, well, mean, I gotta take a look at this. I mean, this is a pretty good one. And I guess it broke down this story of how they met at a party, and anyway, it seemed like it could be valid or it could be the biggest lie ever. But it was an intriguing read where I was like, did this really happen? Did this?
Cameron Diaz. I mean, yeah. It depends which Cameron Diaz we're talking. Are we talking like right out of the gate, the masked Cameron Diaz? Are we talking peak of her powers? There's something about Mary Cameron Diaz. Are we talking like on the way down, bad teacher Cameron Diaz? It's all across the map. So
it's
that
true.
does play. That does play into it.
You're not turning away from Cameron Diaz straight out of the mask. That's not happening. That's not.
And also,
happening.
I just thought she was so lovable, and something about Mary. It's just such an iconic character,
Yeah, she's so. I mean, any woman who's cool enough like to do that the famous jizz in the hair scene is like,
yes,
it's okay in my book. You know what
classic.
I mean?
Oh, classic. It was also like you could tell dudes wrote that script. I love something about Mary, but it's like you could tell dudes wrote that script when she's like, do you want to go upstairs and watch Sports Center? And I'm like, ooh, I'll take no woman I've ever met in my life. Are you fucking kidding me? She's like, let's eat corn dogs and watch Rich Eisen on TV. And I'm like, yeah, no woman has ever said that sentence to me.
Yeah, and I'm not going to gain weight or anything at all. I'm going to stay in perfect shape. It's going to be crazy.
Exactly. And she's an orthopedic surgeon in the movie. Like literally everything about it. I'm like, a dude wrote this about a woman who does not exist.
Yeah, it's almost like a fantasy sci-fi comedy more than anything. Just like
really
going down
is.
the list of like just this perfect, beautiful woman is like, how can I appease you? And like the guys are there, like, and then she does this, like, and then like she thinks, and what do you think about that? Will you do that, Cameron Diaz? And she's like,
yeah, the woman with 3 tits in Total Recall is more believable a character than Cameron Diaz, and There's Something About Mary. That movie
where's
is
her
like
spinoff? We keep getting all these reboots and stuff. Where is her spinoff? I want to see that movie.
I mean, I don't think it probably wouldn't be that good. It's good because they're all fucking. The dudes are the funny part of the movie, though. Like the fact that they're just all stalkers and all creeps.
Yeah.
Like she basically chooses a dude who's still a stalker in the end of the movie.
Yes.
They just went to high school together. He still stalked her. Like there was no Facebook. He hired a private eye. That was the movie.
Yep. Good.
That's why they had to show him protecting her, mentally handicapped brother. in the first scene because they're like, he's about to stalk her. So we got to show that he's a decent dude.
Right. Yeah, that movie, I wish that they were able to still make some comedies, I don't know, like that. Like, I feel like it's so PC
tough,
now with
right?
certain things where it's like some of like that outrageous comedy, because it's gonna hurt certain people's feelings. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just bound to, where now we're playing it safe. You even brought it up, one of my favorite jokes in your special, which is available now on YouTube for people to check out, Up on the Roof, Sam Morril. You can watch it for free on YouTube. I literally just finished it right before we hopped on. And one of my favorite jokes in the special is you talking about a transgender superhero. And
well, that's where we're at. I mean, because I know the joke you're talking about is how Marvel that we're doing a trans superhero, and just like here's my issue with it, right? Like I feel like it didn't come from a pure place with Marvel, because I was just thinking about dollar signs, you know. So they're thinking like, so the joke is basically, you know, they're going to overly PC it. There's going to be a supervillain like, you mutants are all freaks except for you. You're brave to the trans person. Yeah. So, but I think about this all the time. Something About Mary is a great comedy, but now they would just beat the funny out of it, where they would be like, okay, well, this person's got to be Chinese, this person's got to be black, and they're like, actually, and then now that he's black, we can't make him sleazy because that would send a bad message, and it's like, a black guy can't have a funny shitty character. Like, I don't like the idea that, like, it's just so obvious, like, that what they're doing. So
right.
It's like, and guess what? If you're a black actor, what, you only want to play a character now who's doing the Lord's work? You want like meaty roles. You want
you want to be a scummy, unlikable character.
You want to play everything. Villains are the most fun characters, and I feel like they're a little like, unless it's like Black Panther, and they're like, we can, all right, Michael B. Jordan, but it's all black people, so we're getting away with it. But like, Michael B. Jordan's kind of the most interesting character in the movie, isn't he? Because he's the villain.
Well, also, yeah, his backstory too is like, I would have loved to seen a spinoff of that, because
absolutely,
I mean, that was he was an interesting character for sure.
Because you're like, he's right, that character, you're like, oh, that's more, he's like the right to be angry villain. You're like, oh, I get he's three-dimensional. So I like that. He was
one of the few people, like, of villains where I was like, kind of has a right to be pretty upset with literally everything. Like, he's coming back to claim his throne. Like, let's see how this fight breaks down, you know?
Totally. And so that's my thing, is like, I don't like how, like, just transparent they are, is I guess my point, where it's like, you're like, do what you got to do, but don't be so fucking obvious about it. And also, like, give everyone a shot. I do think diversity is important, of course. You know, it is absolutely important. But like, fucking, the way they go about it just feels. And I guess when money's at stake, it reveals kind of ugliness, right? About these companies. But here, at the end of the day, a trans superhero is going to be good for kids who identify with that. So it is at the end of the day good, you know?
Yeah, you're just saying more the approach. It's like, work on the approach a little bit more, so it's not so blind, basically. Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like, I mean, shit. Like, you think about like Black Panthers, like, they didn't have like an all black ensemble superhero movie. They had like Blade, but I can't think of one that's like all black. I mean, that's fucking huge. That was why Black Panther was so groundbreaking, you know?
My buddy, there's comedian Ed Greer, who has a great Blade joke where he said that the movie Blade did more for civil rights than any other film ever. It's just a black superhero killing white people.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Like, the way he does it is great, but I
did a thing about Black Panther, like how long black people had to wait for an all black superhero movie. Like, they had to make it past Ant-Man. Like, that to me is so fucked up. They're like, can we have our own superhero movie? They're like, no, first Paul Rudd's got to play an ant.
Just 1 second. we got a pretty big laundry list of movies ahead of you. Yeah, man. What is a recent movie that you saw that you would maybe recommend to the listeners or viewers? I watched the Zappa doc, and I'm not even a huge Zappa guy, but the Zappa doc and the Belushi doc, a couple docs to check out if you have downtime or whatever. But you're writing so much, so you like, I'm always impressed by just how much. I mean, you've put out 2 specials pretty much back to back, within a very short span amount of time.
I feel like I'm out of shit to say. I feel like I'm done. I feel like there's no more at that well. I gotta, something horrible's gonna happen, I guess. I don't know.
But I mean, how do you get inspiration, I guess? Do you, like, now that you're in a space where you have released, you know, almost 2 hours of content, like, are you back to just trying to let life soak in around you and watch stuff, and are you letting yourself kind of celebrate and relax a little bit right now?
Well, celebrate. I mean, come on. It's like a hard time to be like, party. We fucking no. I'm not good at feeling.
It's a big accomplishment, though.
Thank you.
To self, dude.
And congrats on your first special, man. I mean, that's big. It's you know, it's very hard for me to feel the good. So I'm not great at like being like, we did it. I'm always beating myself up for something, so it's tough to feel the good. I'm glad I put this out. I'm glad that I have something to show for the pandemic and took a little control back. But no, I'm not great at feeling that.
Well, you know what, Sam? We're gonna celebrate right here, right now. This is turning into
confetti just shoots down in my apartment. I'm like, dude, how did you do that?
How did you? You're on the latest season of Punk'd right now. We're celebrating Sam Morril's special.
Did we just reveal our age with that reference? Is how long has it been?
There's got to be a moment. They did a reboot a little while ago, but
that's got to like sound like saying to kids, that's like being on candid camera, and they're just like, what? What are you 60?
What are you talking about? You mean Impractical Jokers? What are you talking about? I guess so.
Those dudes crack me up. That's like one of the rare shows that's just like joy right now. Well, that's like one of the few shows that just gives me like pleasure when I watch, because it's just pure stupidity and friends shitting on each other. I that show makes me feel good.
They're all so nice too.
Yeah,
like
they are.
I mean, they're just like on a personal level. I've had we did the Impractical Jokers cruise with them.
I think I was on that with you, right?
Yeah, right? You were on
that
one?
Yeah, I think we were on the same one. Yeah, I think so. I had a weird time on that cruise.
Well, it's interesting because it's like there's only if you're not a cruise guy, like if you're not into that environment, like you're just on a boat and you're just like kind of like going between decks and stuff and maybe trying to hang out with people, or you're just completely isolating. It's one or the other.
Oh man, a hangover on a boat. There is nothing like that shit. It's also like the amount of gluttony. Like every room you walked in, there'd be like a plate of fried chicken. I'd be like, how the fuck did they know that we'd be walking through you're in a hallway. You're like, all right, fuck it. Let me grab a thigh real quick. It was a weird gig. Also, because the crowds were pretty good because of the Joker people. But like, oh man, I remember we were playing. Giannis Papas and I were playing ball on that little area, and these two young kids, like white guy, totally not sounding like a white kid, you know, like definitely like a street kid. And I'm like, all right.
What's up, bro? How you doing? You want to play ball with me, or what's up, bro?
That was it.
Yeah.
And they fucking just like, this kid just lit us up. It was humiliating. It was just fucking the worst. And Giannis and I weren't even playing that badly, but he just wouldn't miss a shot. And then he's like, "Oh, you ready for round 2?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, dude! I'll see you there." And I just fucking didn't go. I was like, I can't lose to this kid again.
The ultimate troll, just not showing up for the second game. Man, I thought we was gonna play together. Come on, homie. Where those two fat cats at, man? I was about to street them real quick. Did you play basketball in high school or college?
Yeah, but my school sucked. We were a joke. We were terrible. I play in the park still. I like playing in New York winters because I like that feeling where you're just like, something about doing like cardio in the winter. I mean, that's probably why I have no back muscle. I'm like, fuck lifting weights. I'll just run a lot. And now I have the worst. I literally look like a Holocaust body. Like I have the body of someone who like doesn't eat, but I eat a lot. I just will play ball and shit. And
do you think physically you have the ability to pack, like, let's say somebody's like, all right, Sam, we're going to give you this movie role. We really need you to gain about 30 pounds of muscle. Do you think biologically your body could do that?
Absolutely. Yeah, but I would need a lot of help. I would need like, I don't think I lift correctly. I think that's I saw a guy on Instagram the other day. He like posted a thing. He's like a weight trainer and he was like, look at this guy lifting incorrectly. I was like, that's me. Like I'm that guy at the gym. So I'm just like, oh, like that makes me never want to, that is shaming. I'm like, I don't want that shit. That makes me not want to ever go to the gym again.
Yeah, I was for sure self-conscious when I was going to the gym at the very beginning of 2020.
Yeah, you're a lean guy.
Membership. Yeah. I went and I was like, I felt like I was trying to do an impression of somebody working out. Like I felt so foreign in there. I was like doing like, the machines and stuff and like trying to like do dips and different things like this. And I just was looking around. I was just like, this is just so not me. Like,
oh yeah, I'm like, let me just give up and go to an elliptical where I fucking belong. They look at me like, stay in your fucking shitty weak ass.
Yeah, stay in your lane here, bro. Like go upstairs, like get away from all these weight machines. Like, yeah, I felt very self-conscious when I was doing that. And then COVID happened. Then I had the best excuse. I'm like, I can't do it. It's so unfortunate.
Yeah, COVID really has given us a lot of excuses not to work on ourselves in any way. It's really like epic where you're like, okay, well, this is the plan. Because remember seeing people in large groups and you're like, well, now I've just knocked out a bunch of hangs. I can kind of be to myself a little bit. With COVID, if you see people, you kind of have it. It has to be small.
It does. And
but that's more hangs. You've multiplied the hangs now.
I know the math behind it does not add up really. Like I don't know. It's this weird thing with people where I think everybody is like secretly a little judgmental, but they're not really allowed to say how judgmental they are of the way people are reacting to this stuff because they always are having to follow it up with, and I totally get, I totally respect like them doing this, but like undertone is like, I don't believe what this person's saying at all. Like they're loopy in their own mind. Like they're either doing it too much or not enough. Like there's no real correct line to be writing for this thing.
That's the problem with COVID too, is like no one is on your exact level, right? Yeah. Like everyone in my life is either way more scared or way more paranoid or just way less. And it's hard to find friends where you're like, you have those friends that come over with like no mask and you're like, can you just put it, if we're indoors, can you just put it? And then you have those people who are like, I'm not going indoors, stay 10 feet away from me. I'm like, I thought it was 6. So like it's 10. I'm like, all right, I just, so it's hard to find those people where you're like, this is my comfort. But then also you want to be respectful of people's, even if it's like a little more than you believe, you want to be respectful of their comfort levels. So.
Yeah, I literally had one lady who I know who judged me real hard. I was in a conversation with her, and she goes, because I was talking about traveling.
And I licked her face. And
I licked her face. She got real weird about it. I don't know what it was. But she commented, so I've known this friend for a little while, and I told her that I was traveling with stand-up and stuff, and she goes, well, just keep in mind, your wife is pregnant. And I go, I'm aware that she's pregnant. I know what I did. Like, I know, like, what we're experiencing right now.
You should have just sold it like, what? Who the fuck knocked her up? You should have just snapped at her like, who did that to?
Do you know the guy? Do you know the guy? Because I will hunt him down. I will kill him.
Yeah, that's fucking annoying. Look, people are going to work. It's also like, we all are doing our comfort levels. Like, I have friends who I'm like, that's a gig I wouldn't have done. But, also it's, we have to recognize that we're in a pandemic and also be, just, we just keep in mind. I try to do outdoor gigs only. I did a couple indoor gigs, my specials outdoors. I felt like I didn't want to put out an indoor special. And I also felt like this was just, more representative of what we're going through, having to hustle to find weird ass roofs to perform on.
There's going to be an alt comedian who sees your special and they're going to put in an indoor only special right now and be like, dude, I'm against the system right now, bro.
but it's not even like cool punk rock. It's like punk is like against the system. Like the system is failing. You know what I mean? Like the system's fucking up. The government's failing so fucking hard. Yeah, man, I don't know. It's so that's the thing right now is with indoor. The last one I did, I was like, I just don't really feel right about this right now. I think even though I said I feel kind of safe, but I don't think
the gathering of people. Or
yeah, I just think they always say it's 6 feet, but then someone's cheating a little bit with their chairs, and then another person's cheating, and I'm just like, this feels pretty tight. Like I feel like this is not a great. And there's always like whatever gig you're at, they're like, we take it very seriously, and there's always someone who walks in like, I just came from a wedding, give me a fucking hug, and you're like, all right, dude, come on, just.
I did a gig where the guy brought me to the stage, and I go, I have my own mic, I'm gonna plug it in.
Yeah.
He goes, sure, no problem. He takes his mic out of the stand, and after I said goodnight, he comes back up, and he goes and he realizes that he forgot his mic to plug back in. And he goes, hey, bro, can I use your mic real quick? I go, no, this is the whole point of me no. And so he had to run back off stage, and I like told one more joke real quick. And then he got back on, but it was so weird. I'm like, why are you putting me on this spot, like in front of the audience now? Like,
yeah, hey bro, can I breathe? Can I breathe on you real quick? Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. And also, a lot of it may be in our heads, but fucking let us have that peace of mind. Like right now, one of the worst things about COVID is like every time I have like a hangover, I'm like, fuck, I have it. I know it. I know I just gave myself COVID by having one too many tequilas last night. So that's part of the problem too. Is just the added stress, and the media doesn't help because the media fucking lives to spread fear. Like, now that Trump is not getting the same coverage, they're like, we'll fucking go back to the basics. Hospitals, this is it.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. It's like they're gonna over politicize whatever gets the most clicks, whatever gets the most concern, whatever raises the most eyebrows, and so forth. Check out Sam's special right now on YouTube. It's called Up on the Roof. I just watched it. Super funny.
Thanks,
you pack in so many jokes in that 45 minutes that it's awesome, because every special is different, like compared to your first one, I Got This, and it's and that has a lot of jokes. I'm just saying the way that it was cut was very interesting, which was
made for people with ADD. We're changing the scenery and the joke on
which was cool. And some of my favorite stuff was actually I like your jokes a lot, but you told a couple stories in there that I really liked, and also some of the interstitials that you got just organically of people just living in New York. Like you get into it with a couple people like on the street, like some nice things. Some people randomly are saying like kind of off-color remarks to you that it's just like, where did that lady come from? But
that was
like,
weird.
It felt
was
really
weird. One lady
real.
got really mad at me. I was just telling it. It wasn't even telling a bit. I was telling an anecdote. I told a story about a bodega owner and a crackhead. And I was talking about it was really about like the resilience of New York City. It was really about like, oh, we're coming back together, And this woman goes, that's really offensive. And I just like, oh, how? And she was just like, if you're a comedian, you should quit. She just kept insulting me. At one point, we cut this, but she called me an incel. She just kept insulting. And I was like,
what?
First up, I know. Lazy insult because of my eyebrows. We get it. But she just insulted me, and again and again. I was like, and I just keep asking, but why? I just tell me why. I'm curious, and she won't answer me, and I'm just like, okay. And then I walk like 10 feet, and another woman's like, oh, I love your comedy. And I was like, that's New York, man. Like one second they hate you, the next second they're nice. I mean, so I love that about the special, and I loved kind of just embracing those weird interactions and using some of them. We cut a few of the interstitials because I don't want to go too heavy with it, but I really like that about the special, that we were able to do that.
Yeah, it feels like a good through line, like from you going from gig to gig between the rooftops and stuff like that. Is just like, this is what it's like just kind of like on the journey in between. And I even liked like, without giving too much away, at some points you're trying to figure out the next spot you're gonna book.
That was real.
Make those shows happen.
We were panicking a lot of those nights. We're like, fuck, is this guy? I was paying a crew. So if people didn't show up to the roof, it would make me crazy. The anxiety. I literally took the anxiety of filming a special one night and stretched it over 10 shooting nights. So I really tortured myself. And then something would go wrong every night. And
Well, it's bound to. It's on rooftops. Like you also have awesome drone shots and stuff that you're capturing of all that stuff. So
yeah, on one roof they broke his drone camera. My drone guy Dominic Mull, hilarious. I mean, we were just so furious at some drunk just knocked it over. We didn't see him. We're like, someone knocked this over. Yeah, there was something that went wrong literally every night, and part of the special. I mean, that's this year something goes wrong. So that was part of the special. I said we just have to embrace this. And at one point, we're at dinner, and my friend Phil Hanley, who's a hilarious comic, he's shitting on me. So we use moments like that because I kept thinking we wrapped the special, and then I keep finding shit I hated, and I was like, we need more shoots. So we literally went to like 4 or 5 celebratory we wrapped dinners, and where we got hammered, and then I was like, there's another night. We need another night. So we just kept tacking on nights.
Dude, yeah, that's very stressful for a comedian. I can't even imagine. Like the shows that I ended up doing for my special back home in Kansas City, it was a weekend of shows that ended up coming down to like 2 shows that we pulled stuff from essentially. And the ones with the family when they were there were so stressful because like
brutal, right?
I mean, that's the angle of my special. It's the concept behind it is I knew my family was coming, but they surprised me by sitting in the front row, which I would never, ever plan as a comic.
Awful.
Like, like inviting anybody is so stressful just in general. Even to put somebody on your list, sometimes it takes you out of it just a second. You're like, oh, that person's in the crowd. I don't really want to be thinking about that, but I'll put that out of the way for a second. But to see people all around you that is just like, ugh. So.
It's cringy. Yeah. One of my friends, Dan St. Germain, I remember once told me that early on, when you have to bring people to the show to perform, he brought his parents, and they were the only people that showed up to the entire show, those 2 people. And they said, the show is on. And they were like, hey, since you brought your parents, do you mind going at the end? So his parents had to sit through the whole show as the only audience members. And then he had to bomb for his parents.
Dude, that's
brutal.
Horrible. So brutal. I had a case where my mom and my sister were visiting in LA, and this was like the first year that I was out in Los Angeles. And they're like, we really want to come to a show. And I'm like, I don't have any shows while you're here. I just have open mics. My mom and my sister came to an open mic, and I went on. I had a bad pull. It was like a lottery open mic. I didn't even know when I was going. And this female comedian's on stage, and she starts telling abortion jokes. And my mom is in the second row, and she just starts booing this girl. She just starts going, boo, boo, just like at an open mic. And there's that
was the baby's ghost.
Yeah. heckling the female comic on stage. And the comic is just literally like, I guess she didn't like that one. Yeah. And just like, that's all you can do, because it was literally like 20 other comics waiting their turn to go up. And my mom and sister were the only audience members. And
that's tough.
It's one of the worst ones. It was I vowed, I was like, I'll never invite you to an open mic again, because that was so brutal.
That's a hilarious threat to hang over your mom's head. That's it, Mom. That's the last open mic you get to go watch.
You're cut off from open mics, Mom. All right.
My mom would come to shows, and I remember she came to an album taping I did, and it's funny. She'll sit. I tell her, if you come, you got to sit so I don't see you. And I see her face during a salacious bit I'm doing, and she just does this. Like, I'm like, I can't see my mom. I can't see my mom hiding in shame during one of my bits. And my mom is very supportive, but like, she's still a proper woman. I mean, that's explains a lot of how I am as a comic, where it's like poking that. And that's, she's a proper woman. She doesn't like that shit. So
I just imagine your mom, you like hitting that punchline, and then she just like has a Dick Tracy like hat on that she's like lowering over her face and like putting a trench coat up, and you're like, Mom, I see you. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm not your mom.
Oh, I love those noir voices. That was good. You do a voiceover with that noir type voice.
One of these. Yeah. Having Sam Morril on the podcast.
That's just Mark Norman now.
I don't know. It's good to be here. I don't know.
That was good.
Little gay, little hungover. I don't know. Sam, good to see you.
That was good.
I have a good Normand. I love that guy. Love that queef. I want to get into this next segment with you. It is called Fanning Out.
Fanning out. Questions from fans.
Now, I reached out to people online and I said, if you could ask Sam Morril a question or give us maybe even a scene suggestion to possibly riff, what would that look like? We've got a few right here. This comes from Jacob Wilson 1 on Instagram. Sam, who's your favorite New York City comedian other than yourself?
Well, I'm not my favorite. That's a big. I mean, there's a lot. I love. Everyone knows I love David Knowles so much. He just makes me laugh so hard. And
yeah,
Attell's great. There's so many great comics here. So maybe I feel like everyone knows Attell. So let me shout out a couple comics that maybe they haven't heard of and they should have. So I'll give you Dina Hashem and I'll give you Ronan Hirschberg, who I think are both great.
Awesome. Well, look those comics up if
follow them on
if you're
socials
listening.
and yeah, they're great. You'll love their stuff. Ronan's got a joke I love where he says he's a Jew from Kentucky and people ask, how did that happen? He goes, well, when my grandparents fled the Holocaust, they weren't picky. They both are great joke writers, so follow them both.
Yeah, check them out on the YouTubes and whatnots. Herb Vinyl on Instagram says, what is Sam's best memory at the Creek in the Cave? Thanks, Kyle.
Wow, there's so many. I mean, for those of you that don't know, the Creek in the Cave was an awesome kind of alternative comedy room in Long Island City run by Rebecca Trent, and there were so many great nights there. I mean, I think of just the nights I got just drunk as hell there. I remember like, geez, so many. I mean, just bombing mics, the cringe of those mics, the damn. I'm trying to think. There's so many. It's tough. Yeah, I'll tell you this one. First time I ever met Mark Normand was actually at the Creek, and it must have been, geez, like 13 years ago, 14 years ago, and he was just a young comic bombing at a mic, and I was like, this guy's funny. You know, it's pretty crazy to think about someone I know so well now is just, and I'm thinking of other people. I mean, I remember.
How long do you think it took Mark to kind of find and lean into his current style? Like, because he has a very specific cadence, like the way that he
was that dude pretty early on. I think he kind of, I think he was very, like, we all kind of emulate who we loved as comics at first, and then you kind of grow. So Mark really loved Norm and Jerry Seinfeld, but you know, and he slowly kind of became him on stage. So I think he kind of had a style already, but he just kept getting better and better, you know? So I think that's how it went. But Mark had good jokes early on. Mark was already funny. The Creek in the Cave, I mean, shit.
It surprises me that Skank, like when I look back, like, and Skankfest was held there, like before it went to
that was a great
Brooklyn
one.
Bazaar. Dude, that weekend was so wild. Like, just the amount of people that were
was
packed
special.
in
Yeah.
every single room, just shoulder to shoulder. That felt like, you want to talk about like punk rock scene and punk rock comedy. Like, that's the epitome of that right there.
I got let me think of all right, I got one. This probably happened like, dude, 8-9 years ago, so long ago whenever this happened. But I remember there was like a really attractive older woman there, and I was like pretty young, you know, and she kind of bumped me, and I was like, late, as a joke, I was like, lady, why don't you watch it? Like, she could tell us. She laughed really hard when I said it, you know?
Yeah.
And she just kind of like was like, oh, that was like fun. That guy seems kind of funny, whatever. And then we kind of chat a little bit. She was probably like 15 years older than me at the time, you know? And she just, I don't know how it happened, but she was like, do you want to come upstairs and have sex with me? And I said, okay. I was a young comic. And I did. And it was fucking weird. It was just like, that was a good Creek memory. Happened pretty, I was like, I was like, that's comedy. I made a joke. She laughed. She's like, let's have sex. And I was like, all right.
Do you remember her name or anything like that?
No, so long ago. I honestly don't. I know I sound like a piece of shit saying that.
No,
but,
that wow, yeah. Yeah, I'm always like when I
she had a very nice apartment.
Yeah, I guess when I've only had sex with one woman, right?
Oh my God.
That's me. I married the woman who I had sex with is my wife now.
Mm-hmm.
And so when
I figured you didn't get married to someone who doesn't fuck you and you bang someone else on the side.
Now it's somebody else's baby, but I'm married to somebody else. It's a very weird situation that's going on here. But no, I'm always like, I wouldn't say the word impressed, but I'm more like intrigued. Anytime I have a friend who's like, yeah, I did. We didn't even exchange names. Like it's a sexual encounter. I'm like, what is that like? Because
it was just we never really, it never happened again either. We just had sex. She's like, that was fun. I was like, that was fun. I was like, nice to meet you. It was just like a very weird night. And yeah, that was fun. And thinking of any other Creek memories, I don't think any can top that. I remember doing like all these weird podcasts there when it started out, and Skankfest was pretty special. Yeah, I remember Joe Mackey and I did a show together there for the first year of that, and yeah, there were just so many great nights. So and just you bond with other comedians there, and it was a special comedy room. It was great.
This one comes from A Gray Gibb on Instagram, following up with Joe Mackey. Does Joe Mackey still incorrectly believe himself to be the kid? How is it possible to release a new hour every year and bang, marry, kill, burger, tacos, and pizza? Let's start with the Joe Mackey one.
Yeah, Mackey still thinks he's a kid. Mackey and I used to feud over who gets, because I just feel like every cool character in a movie is like, I'm the kid, like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. So we would bicker over who got to be the kid. And yeah, Mackey still thinks he's the kid for sure. What was the next one?
The next one is, how's it possible to release a new hour every year?
I mean, this is my only job, so I just, I try to have some new shit, and, I hope I have a new one by the end of next year. Who knows? I might be done. I might be bone dry right now.
I'm looking forward to seeing what, it's been really cool to, and we really we don't know each other really that well, but you're one of those guys who, when you're in town in LA, or if I'm in New York, you're one of the comics that I always kind of look to see if I can catch a set from, because
thank you, man.
There's a group of you guys out there right now, and I'm definitely gonna leave a handful of comics out, but that seem like in the same kind of class, where it's like you, Joe List, Mark Normand, even like the History of Hyenas guys like DeStefano and Papas. There's like a bunch of you guys that are like really just fun to watch, and I'm leaving out a lot of great New York comics, by the way.
Sure,
but
there's so many good comics here. Yeah,
I mean, that like class that's like kind of like everybody seems to be like kind of on a rise together right now, and you're all like friends and stuff. It's really cool to see, like from an LA perspective, to see what's going on with you guys in New York right now.
Yeah, I wish we could like see each other. It's such a weird time, but I'm happy that they're, to be surrounded by so many driven and hilarious people. So, yeah, I'm grateful for the scene here in New York. I miss the Cellar so much.
Dude, I have Comedy Store withdrawals right now. I'm like,
it's crazy, right?
It's yeah, to not like be able to work out and go out there. Like I'm mainly going out, like I'm working out stuff when I'm headlining out on the road right now, and I've never done that before. Like where I usually had a home base where I'm like, okay, I'm able to work this stuff out and then take it out on the road. Now the road is becoming like my new workshop, and it's an interesting kind of experience to try to work stuff out that way.
Yeah, it's a tough time to work shit out also, because you just like, I normally, this is the first hour that I really felt like I just worked in New York. So I'm used to kind of running it through the mud throughout the country, and making sure it's like kind of red state, blue state friendly, and I'm not being too pandery or preachy in any of the jokes. So yeah, I think that's part of the process too. So it's tough to not do that.
Joey Carper says, with your two different styles of comedy, try to put one of your punchlines with one of Sam's jokes.
I have to change my joke, you mean?
I'm trying to think of what this means. I don't get it. Two different styles of comedy. Try to put some of your punchlines with one of Sam's jokes. I think what they're trying to say is they want me to do an act out for one of your jokes, maybe? That might be it.
All right.
Do you have a one-liner or something? Because I'm like, our styles are pretty different as far as like, I have like some like straight joke formats, but I'm a very presentational comic where a lot of my stuff is act out based, where if you read it on paper, it's like, okay, yeah, that's, I guess, whatever. But like, it's a lot about what the show is.
That's the best because it's harder for people to steal your shit. I think like, geez, like what's an act out? All right, here's a one-liner. You women are amazing because you can fake an orgasm, but not a good mood.
Okay. So I guess the act out for that would be, all right. So, you ladies are really, one more time on the joke. You ladies are really good at, this is so weird, but I think that
you can fake an orgasm, but you can't fake a good mood.
Okay. You ladies are weird because, you can fake an orgasm, but you can't fake a good mood. I mean, like, we're in bed and you're selling it. You're selling it. You're just like, but you can't just say, I'm happy with you.
There we go. that worked. I think that worked.
Oh, whatever. It's
that was a tough assignment.
It is. We did our best. To Joey, I hope you enjoyed that. Making me squirm in my own skin while retelling one of Sam's jokes. So that was very nice of you to offer that, Sam. Let's see here. Okay. There's a scene suggestion for us. Let's see how this goes. Andy and his Instagram on Instagram. Scene suggestion. You just kidnapped a guy, but now we're stuck in the drive-thru.
I kidnapped someone?
So you kidnapped me, and we're in a drive-thru line. So you basically kidnapped me, but now we're having to sit through a drive-thru. Like you pulled into the wrong area.
Okay. All right. So we start a scene. So we're in the drive-thru.
Yep, we're in the drive-thru. We just turned off, and now we accidentally high-speed chase. Now we're sitting through the drive-thru.
Fuck. All right. Look, man. I was trying to sneak you into a warehouse here, but we're at Burger King. So, do you want anything?
Maybe like the French. Are they serving breakfast? Can you ask if they're serving breakfast? I'm sorry. Can you please put the gun down? I just maybe I can order something else.
What if I just end the scene? I'm like, kaplow! You're fucking dead.
That could be the
scene. That's the fucking scene. You fucking asked for breakfast. Fuck that shit.
Let's just say they don't serve breakfast anymore when you're dead.
Yeah, dude.
Don't worry about it.
Then I cruise up. I'm like, oh shit! It turns out they did serve breakfast. I'm sorry. I murdered you.
My brains are splattered all over the window and stuff, and you're like, the cleaning service on this car. Maybe I just should have had breakfast with this guy. This is awkward.
Then the twist is we call in Harvey Keitel from Pulp Fiction. He makes that shit right. He cleans it up. That was his gig, man.
That was his thing. This is just a request because I think somebody likes your voice. Elijah, can you say you're going to like the way you look? I guarantee it.
All right. You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it.
That was pretty solid.
All right.
All right, let me do.
Give me some voiceover gigs. How have I never booked a voiceover gig?
I'm actually you don't do voiceover stuff?
No, I've tried. They always are like, we're good. I am working on an animated show, so if I saw that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, your voice is perfect for animation.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, this is my this is me trying to do this read.
You're gonna like the way you look. I guarantee it.
Holy shit, that was good. So you're like the murderer in every movie, right? The voiceover?
Pretty much, Sam.
Oh shit,
we have
that was
an
good.
issue.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna kill somebody, and it might just be you. I'm gonna be honest with you right now.
Yeah.
I have a modulator. This is not my speaking voice.
Oh, okay. That would suck if someone just had that speaking voice. You know, if they just were like, that's how they talk. Every time they called anyone, they're like, it's a kidnapping. There's a ransom. Like, no, I'm just checking in.
No, hi. I was just, there's not a bomb or anything. I just wanted to place an order to go. Is that okay?
That's good. That's solid.
All right. This comes from McCann Man on Twitter. 3 things Sam wants to achieve within the next 5 years.
I just want to keep doing stand-up to bigger audiences, and I just want to. I'm working on an animated show that I'd really like to make. So those are 2 things I'd like to achieve, and it's hard to look out 5 years from now and say this is what I want, because these years have been so unpredictable. So I just want to keep working, and I just want my fucking life back. All right, that's that's it.
Just give Sam his life back.
All right, so that's a pretty straightforward answer.
Yeah,
I think it's this year was very hard on the it was very hard to gauge growth this year, because literally people are like, I'm just trying to survive. Like that's like their MO for the whole year. But the fact that you made a special in a pandemic is huge. You know what I mean? So like that alone. Like, I know you're not a celebratory person or anything like that, and I'm trying to get you to pat
I'm
yourself
grateful.
on the back,
I'm grateful
yeah.
that people, that my director Matt Salacuse was just so driven, that I had Josh Fear, who was doing behind the scenes camera work, and Dominic Mull, who did the drone and edited it. I mean, like I had people that were very driven to make this something cool. So I'm very grateful for that. And back to the drawing board, man. You got to just keep. It's out in the world now. It's hard to celebrate when you're kind of like, I'm still kind of hungry. I still want to be in a different place. So it's kind of hard to be like, we did it. It's like
I like to, with things, allow myself these little victories though, because like in between,
no, that's healthier. That's much healthier.
because it's just one of those things where it's like, otherwise it's like, then it's like the buildup and stuff. There's not that release that you kind of need after like putting so much effort in. Would you agree or no?
No, I mean, I agree with you, but I don't, it's just hard to do it. I totally am like, I'm not listening to you and going, he's wrong. I'm aware that you have the more mentally healthy approach. I think it's very hard for me to, even if I tell someone, I'll give someone that advice, but it's hard for me to practice what I preach.
Right. I was curious about this. I think that you've dated some comedians in the past. Would you say it's easier or harder to date somebody who's involved and knowing what you do, or somebody who's completely out of the business? Because my wife, for example, I took improv with my wife at Second City. So she's like, and she's not in the entertainment business. She's like kind of adjacent to it. She teaches improv to help kids now with their social awareness and their like learning disabilities and stuff like that. So she's like adjacent, but she kind of gets what the scene and everything is all about. Would you say one is easier than the other?
I don't know. I think you just when they're in your world, it becomes tempting sometimes, and you connect in a way that you wouldn't connect with someone who doesn't do stand up. I see a therapist who sees so many stand-ups. So I think I have a hard time separating myself from this world. I think you go so hard at stand-up that you sometimes forget there is another world. Like you're like, oh, this is so much a part of my life that. So yeah, I've dated people that are not in this world, and that could be nice to have a break. Mm-hmm. But I like, I'm in a relationship with a comic now, and I'm happy with it. I think she's she's driven and she's hilarious, and it's nice to be with someone who I'm like, oh fuck, this thing happened on the road, and they're like, oh, that happened to me on the road. It is nice to have that connection, and
yeah.
And I think there are ways, when you're in that similar position in your career, you can kind of help the other person in a way that maybe someone who's like not a stand-up's like, wait, you got a bad hotel in Milwaukee? What? They'd be like, all right. So I think they understand the frustrations, especially when you're traveling. They understand those frustrations. We're very gentle with each other there.
We might have stayed at that same bad hotel in Milwaukee. There is that chance.
Oh, sure.
As soon as I heard Milwaukee, I was like, PTSD.
It's look, there's advantages and disadvantages like there are in anything.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
We're going to close it out with this last segment that I call Sax Talk. Oh, Sax Talk.
So I like an accent with a woman. You know, I think an accent can be not really, but for the sake of this story. And but I met this woman years ago, and she was from Argentina. You know? Oh hell yeah! And we had a few drinks. We went back to my place, and she had, you know, a thick accent. So right before we had sex, she goes, "This I will surely regret." And I like that. That's more like, there's something about that makes it sound so dramatic. That's so much more dramatic than I don't really want to fuck you anymore, you know? So I appreciated that. That's the story.
And that was Sam Morril's Sax
I have longer
Talk.
ones, but I figure like shit, man. That's to the point.
There you go. It's right to the point. That was like a sax. I think it was the first Sax Talk one-liner we've had in the show's history. Succinct and to the point, just like Sam's jokes. Awesome. Coming, packing those heat, those punches. Check out his special right now, Up on the Roof. You can watch it for free on YouTube. Sam, is there anything else that you'd like to plug before we wrap up?
I have a basketball pod with Stavros Halkias called Pod Don't Lie. And if you like the NBA, it'll be your favorite podcast for basketball. It's a good time. So, but yeah, other than that, I got 2 specials on YouTube, the Up on the Roof and I Got This, both this year. So, and I believe my previous special, Positive Influence, will be on Comedy Central's YouTube at the end of the month. So check out that as well.
Oh,
yeah.
3 for 3. That's awesome, man. Congrats.
3 for 3, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's
YouTube,
go.
baby. That's the future.
That future, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for being on the show today, and continued success. And I love
You too, man.
watching
My
everything that you're
pleasure.
doing. And yeah, stay safe out there, man.
You too, man. Thank you, Jeremiah.